opinions, and then I'll kind of give you what my take is on the opinion. Okay, so let's get started. I've chosen some of the most controversial ones to start out with, according to the sorting. But anyways, let's get started without further ado. Women who insist on having it all, including a career and children, ruin it for women who just want a career. There, I finally said it. I hate having to fill in for 4 or 5 months while another woman goes on maternity leave. I get to do her job for her while she enjoys her family time. I also get to do her job for her after she gets back because she gets to leave work 3-4 times a week because the kid's sick. I get to do her job plus mine while she gets paid more money just because she happened to get the company of a year or 2 before me. She got the promotion, then she reaps the benefits by not working and taking credit for others' work. This has happened to me 3 times in different places, both at universities and at a corporation. I know I'm not the only one that has this problem. I also lost out on at least one high-end position and one promotion because 2-3 years prior they had hired a woman of similar age and she went on maternity leave shortly after, and therefore they are now going to hire a man so that doesn't happen again. Okay, so if you were able to follow that, because I know that was kind of jumbled for me, then basically this woman is saying that basically women going on maternity leave is ruining it for women who want just careers, right? Because when women go on maternity leave, the corporations, they don't want to have to pay for that, and they don't want to have to lose that productivity. So they would rather hire a man than hire a woman. So she's saying that, because so many women are leaving work on maternity leave, they're ruining chances for other women to get jobs. Because corporations don't want to hire women of a certain age who are pregnant or might get pregnant soon. Now, there is some truth to this. I do know I've read some things about corporate America and just, sort of sexism and misogyny in general. And this is sort of a real thing where, corporations which are dominated by men will prefer to hire men. I mean, we talk all the time about like the wage gap and sort of like it's a big discussion right now, I think, with like women getting their fair share in like the job place, right? And this is one of those areas where just being a woman kind of hurts them on both sides, right? So this woman is saying because women have gotten pregnant, she's lost positions because other women who were pregnant had to leave work and the corporations didn't like that. Well, then on the flip side, there are women who are working very hard and they want a family, but they might be afraid to start a family because they don't know how their corporation is going to act, right? They could have been there for 5, 10, 15 years, and a corporation will drop them at the drop of a dime because they want to go on maternity leave. You know what I mean? They will find an excuse to get rid of them at some point, right? So it is an unfortunate reality of society, but I don't think it's really fair for this woman to blame it on women. You know what I mean? Like it's clearly not the women, it's the corporations who are being run by these people who are just kind of greedy and unempathetic and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, I definitely, this is definitely an unpopular opinion, I'd say. Certainly a hot take. But yeah, but I do understand aspect is hard enough, but then knowing that, they're constantly going to look at you as, a potential liability, it can be daunting, I imagine. So let's move on to the next one. Actually, let me read some of the comments, or at least one. So here's one comment. You sound bitter and jealous. You should check yourself. Now, they replied to this comment, okay? Bitter, yes. Jealous, no. I stand by my opinion that for many of these women, not all, their greatest achievement is working the system. They get a paycheck for doing very little work. Okay, she might have said that in the post, and I didn't catch it, but no, that's ridiculous. She's saying that women who get pregnant and that they do little work, right? Which is crazy. Like, how can you do your job and then suddenly have to take care of another living human being and then suddenly have less work to do? Like, even if their workload at work is different, their workload in life is a hell of a lot more. You know what I mean? Like, that is such a bitter take, and yeah, it's just that's terrible. So that's the only comment I think we need to read. So let's move on to the next one. This is an interesting one. Hope it's not that long. Okay. The Sphere is Las Vegas. The Sphere is Las Vegas's. Wait. The Sphere is Las Vegas. This is literally how it's typed. The Sphere is Las Vegas is absolutely horrible. Okay. So I think it's the Sphere in Las Vegas is absolutely horrible. This feels like they were so obsessed with the fact that they could, that they overlooked the fact that they shouldn't. Yes, the tech is amazing. Of that, there is no doubt. However, it's just obscene. It looks big, bulbous, and distracting from outside. Inside, I can imagine getting motion sickness from the screen. If you want a good view of the screen, the performers look a million miles away. And if you're near the performers, you won't get the benefit of the screen. And how are they going to make money? Oh, and how are they going to make it pay? It just looks like a big gimmick. It will be too expensive to play one-off shows, say as part of a tour, with a bespoke, immersive experience, as it will require a show unique to that venue, untransferable to anywhere else. Residencies will kill it, as if you don't like the performer, you won't go. So basically, they're saying that gigantic, like, technological round stadium in Vegas that's like a billion LCDs is basically a waste. It's a distraction, a waste of money, and it won't ever really be properly utilized. Now, if you're not familiar with the Sphere, it's like a gigantic, like literally a gigantic ball, like in Las Vegas, and like it's like a screen. So like sometimes they'll have like a face, and like if you're in a hotel and you look out, you'll see this face like looking around. Sometimes it looks like an emoji. Like it changes from time to time to different things, but it's kind of cool. Like honestly, I think it's pretty neat. However, I always thought that seemed like a really insane investment because it just looks like. Even they said it. Like I wonder how that will be properly utilized. I think right now the band U2 has like a residency going on, and so U2 is pretty big. Like they're one of the highest touring acts of all time. So they can pull this off. But like she said, like because of the venue, this really couldn't be part of a tour, because a tour follows a certain pattern, right? It's the same from show to show with very little variation. But if you're gonna work at something like the Sphere, it will have to change the entire concept of the concert. So yeah, so it's very interesting. I don't know if it's making money, but I do know it is. It's very neat. If you haven't seen it, look it up. But it is. I would imagine that it might get kind of annoying for people who might live in that area to kind of like open the window and then just see like a smiling emoji. You know what I mean? It's like a. I wouldn't say it's always smiling. It's like an ambient type of. Not ambient, but it's like it's there and it kind of like just kind of like looks around and does stuff like that, right? But I imagine it might not always be so cool looking if you live there, right? So let's find a comment and see what people have to say. We just paid a ton of money to see you two, only to not even be able to see much of the screen. When it said obscured, we thought it meant you couldn't see part of the screen. That's not the case. We couldn't see 90% of it. We could see the band and the screen right behind them, like a normal concert. Leaving the concert is a show. You can't leave very quickly, and you end up on the side streets and nothing is organized. My wife bought us tickets, and it was so sweet, but she seemed upset we couldn't even see this entire screen. It's a design that's greedy. Well, right away we have somebody who has, experienced it firsthand, and apparently they're not a fan. But I guess the person who made this post kind of, mentioned how the very problem he's talking about would be a problem, right? So, there are no real replies. Oh, but here's another one, actually. So, here's one that's kind of in contrast to the last one. OP, this is the person who posted this, is out to lunch. Las Vegas is meant for attractions like this! Exclamation mark. Saw postcards from Earth yesterday, and we were absolutely blown away with the sound and visuals. Having grown up in the 50s and 60s, when three-panel cinemas was the new widescreen spectacle, and having seen my share of 3D, 70mm, and IMAX films, this is a real game changer that is a quantum leap above any of those. So if you want to view something that is truly unique, don't miss it. Regarding the venue, those upper sections are super steep, so be careful. If you have a fear of heights, be forewarned. I did see a lady trip, but luckily she was okay. Also, lots of drunks stumbling around my section, and the ones near me left halfway through due to motion sickness. So, there you have it. So this is an older person who has kind of seen the format of visual entertainment, motion pictures change, right? So all the way back to, what did she say? Like the 50s and 60s. Three-panel cinerama. So I would imagine if you've gone that far back, that this technological advancement would seem very, very neat, because you have a reference point, right? And even if you're younger, like say 20, right? I think you would still be amazed with this, right? Like if you haven't seen this sphere, it's very neat, and I imagine that if it's utilized like properly, it would be very, very cool. So it's that's a good take, I think, because it's not really bashing the OP, right? Because what is there to say other than what's been said? But it's a nice comment, I think. So let's move on to another. Where are we at time-wise? Okay. So this is a good one. The Harry Potter movies are great, while the books are terrible. After recently finishing reading the books and then watching the movies, I can honestly say that the movies were so much more enjoyable. They left out all the filler trash magical to the experience, while the books are just a slog to endure. So, I personally am not a Harry Potter fan, and I've only seen one of the movies, like through and through, and I actually went to see that movie in theaters. It was the very first one, and I went because a friend of mine, like, was obsessed with the books, and so when that movie came out, he was like, I gotta see this, and he paid my way, so we went to go see the movie, and I remember I got a bucket of popcorn per se, extra butter, and it hit my system like a wrecking ball. So I was kind of in and out of the theater, if you catch my drift. But my friend absolutely loved the movie. I mean, I couldn't really get into it because of obvious reasons, but when I did end up like seeing it on DVD or digitally, it wasn't. It just wasn't for me. Like I actually, it was entertaining, I would say, but it's not something that I really could invest my interest in. Like it never was. Like even with the books, and a lot of time this is interesting because a lot of time people will say that, you know, the books are always better than the movies because the character development, like the movies can't catch the character development of a book, right? Just because of time constraints. But at the same time, most people who have never read a book franchise and then watch the movie first will almost always say that the movie is better than the book. So, and there are plenty of people who would just rather watch a movie than read the book. So, I don't know. But let's see what other people are saying. I actually hated the books. Every page, I wished Harry would just kneel over and die. Okay, well, we'll move on from that one, because clearly that's a hot take. Occasional, I'm just sure this has nothing to do with JK's current situation. What current situation? This is 8 days ago. So, and this post was 16 days ago. So, what's going on now? So let's move on from that one, because I'm not sure what that's alluding to. Okay, personally, I only like the first 3 movies in the series. Oh wait, no. Personally, I only like the first 3 in the series. I found the Holy Trinity allegory to be stupid, and the way Harry defeated Voldemort disappointing. LMAO, are you an adult saying the movies are better than the books? I would love to read what you have to say about the 4th movie specifically. It spoils its twist in the first scene. How on earth can anyone prefer that movie to the book? So that was like 4 different comments, by the way. That wasn't one person. So I can't really say this was divided, really, because okay, so that person didn't like the books. Okay, so actually that was kind of mixed, right? So I mean, I guess that's definitely a person-to-person thing. I guess as most opinions tend to be, but I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and I really have had no interest in seeing any of the movies. So, like, I really can't give a whole lot of comment on that, but I have most of my friends actually are really big Harry Potter fans. So, yeah, like, it wasn't my thing. Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, like, very interchangeable to me, like Star Wars and Star Trek. Like, it's, you know, someone's gonna go off with that comment, because that's a hot take, and I know that, but it's in terms of, like, the realm that it's in, like, those are similar to me. So that was about Harry Potter. Let's get another one. Here's a really interesting one. You should get married early. Advice that you usually hear from people, often those with unhappy marriages, is that you should live it up in your 20s and even in your 30s before settling down and getting married. it seems so much better to get married as soon as you find someone who you can grow up alongside with. I believe most real bonding happens when you grow up right alongside someone, because then you each mold each other into the perfect wife slash husband. Not to mention starting a family early. I get that kids are expensive, so get that in order first. You don't want to raise your kids in poverty, but watching your kids grow up before you get too old just seems so much better. But watching your kids grow up before you get too old just seems so much better. So there was some punctuation issues there. Again, I'm not saying to necessarily rush something permanent like that, but you should really seize any opportunity to lock in your soulmate and grow with them, rather than waiting just because you're told to do so. So basically, they're saying, strike while the iron is hot. If you find young love to, take it to the, what's that called? Take it to the, anyways, to ride that wave, and to see it through. And, I can see the point though, because really you want as much time with your loved ones as possible, right? So the ideal is to get married and have your family early, which is pretty much how it used to be about 50 years ago or so. I don't know. I don't have any kids, but my thought always was to, the younger the better, in terms of starting a family. So I definitely see the advantages of waiting, because having that financial security will definitely make life easier for everyone involved. But just in terms of time, it to me does seem better to just kind of go with the flow. If you find love early, to really capitalize on that. Especially if you look at people now, so many people seem so miserable. It doesn't really even matter what that age range is, because I think so many people are kind of they're all about themselves, or they're kind of I don't know, but everyone kind of feels like they're a celebrity these days, right? Everyone, they have these impossible standards, or these impossible expectations of people. So, I think, if you look at a lot of people who get married really young, a lot of those relationships do seem to last very, very long. It's really interesting because I feel like when I was growing up, I would talk to one of my friends, and they'd be like, my mom or my dad, they've been together for 20, 30 years, and I mean that's kind of relationships lasting that long now. It's crazy to think that people can't been along for that long when but I think a lot of it has to do with just the way people were raised and how you deal with conflict in a relationship. Whereas back then, you kind of fought to keep things going. You looked past a lot of things. You made things work as best as you could, and you only ended things if it absolutely had to really end. Whereas now, something could come up in their relationship, and it might be something that could be worked on, but it would be really hard, and so they would rather end that relationship completely, you know what I mean, and then move on to the next person. I don't honestly, this is a tough one. I go back and forth on if I even want kids, if I'm being completely honest. I have 15 nephews and nieces, so I got my share of what that would be like, vicariously. And so there are times where I'm like, oh my god, look how fulfilling this feels, and then look how adorable this baby is. And then on the flip side, I'm like, oh my god, thank God that kid is gone, because I didn't mean to dwell on this topic for so long. So, one comment says, what about being single? Okay, here's another one. Generally speaking, there is rarely any reason to rush to get married. If you have found the person you're going to be with forever, there's no real difference between tying the knot now and tying the knot 5 years from now. I say you oh, okay, so that was one comment. So, is that true? If you found the love of your life, would you say it doesn't matter if you get married right now or 5, 10 years later? I mean, if it's love, then you know what I mean? Like, marriage in itself really doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to be together forever, right? So, but there are, like, I guess you could say, simplistic reasons to, like, you know, get that marriage going. You know, holy matrimony, as it's called. You know, a lot of people take the concept of marriage differently, right? I think marriage in general is kind of like a generic term, but, like, you know, there's a lot to marriage than just a guy and a girl, you know, being together. Like, there's vows and there's a lot of depth to what a marriage is that people don't really consider now. But you know, so there's that symbolistic aspect, but there's also just like the legal and financial aspect of it too. You know, combined income and also medical things, you know what I mean? Having certain rights to see people if something awful happens, you know what I mean? You never know how the family is going to react to something, you know what I mean? And if you're not married and they don't like you, you know, and something happens to you, like your loved one, they can be like, no, like, we don't want him in the room, or we don't want her in the room, and that's that. But if you're married, then that kind of supersedes all that, right? So, there you have it on that. What do you guys think of that one, by the way? I'll do one more. Yeah, one more. This one's fun. Pickles do not belong on burgers. A warm, soggy pickle on a burger? No, thank you. There is a time, a place for pickles, and it's not on a burger. You cannot tell me that you like a sour burger. And you cannot tell me that you like hot, floppy pickles. Also, I do like pineapple on my pizza. Thank you. Edit. I'm not actually telling you what you can and can't do. It's an expression to just say how much I think it's gross. Also, the amount of people agreeing and disagreeing so intensely is actually exciting. LOL. And some of you are just mean. Edit 2. Again, I will say I'm not trying to force you to agree with me because I said you can't tell me. It was literally me saying this is something that is so gross to me and I can't believe some people like it. It's basically she's saying, or he's saying, it's an expression, which, come on. But it's the internet and people don't, you know what I mean? They don't connect two and two. I don't give a F what you actually like or don't like. That's your business. It was simply sharing my clearly unpopular opinion in the unpopular opinion sub, doing what this sub was made for. And for those of you saying I have an unrefined palate because of this, how? I am one of the least picky eaters. There's just a small handful of things I do not like. Everyone has something they don't like. Mine just happens to be this. Pickles. So I don't mind pickles on my burger. Most of the times I probably prefer them not to be on there if I'm being completely honest. But like from McDonald's, a McDouble in particular, I like the pickles on that. But there's nice little chopped onion ratio in there and ketchup and cheese. So, but most of the times, pickles on a sandwich, a no-fly zone for me. But I don't like outright hate pickles. But you know, I do feel like they're a bit much sometimes, most of the time. And I grew up with a friend who loved eating like dill pickles, and so there was like a little shop where we would go all the time to like get snacks, and he would always buy one of these big pickles and just crunch into that thing, and it always sounded and looked so darn good. And every now and then, foolishly, I would buy one because it just looked so good every time. And I bite into that thing and I was like, alright, this is not for me. So yeah, but pickles, people love their pickles and they look good, I'm not even gonna lie. I do kind of like though the Vlasic pickles that are like kind of like chopped into like long sleeves type of deal. Those are like legit, but I don't really eat those either. Like, but you know, sometimes every now and then, like I had a really short period where I liked pickles and mustard. So, but let's read a comment. Yes, they do. Okay. And another comment. I haven't really been saying when a comment is different from another comment. I realize that. I just gotta read the comment and I go to the next comment. But like when it's clear sentences ended, you know, that's me switching to another. You know what I mean? So every time someone asks for pickles on their burger and then gets a burger with pickles on it, it breaks my heart because that's one more pickle that could have ended up on my burger, making my day instead of ruining someone else's. Okay, that's cute. You like pineapple on pizza? I will never believe you. I recently discovered that pickles are, in fact, better as a side. 35 years on, they're still great on cold cut sandwiches. So, and someone replied to that, what types of meat do you put on your pickles? What type of meats do you put your pickles on your sandwiches? F all of them. LOL, I love pickles. Okay, so that person is a pickle fan, but they're saying that even still, they prefer pickles on the side. I guess with their burgers, but like if it's gonna be like a cold cut sandwich with like with either turkey, ham, or roast beef, you know, that kind of deal, all of it, pickles can go on top of all of that. You know what I mean? So, all right, I think that's the video. My take. Did I already mention my take? Oh, on burgers specifically. Yeah, like I prefer them not to be on there, if I'm being honest. Like every now and then I'll want pickles on a burger, but it'll be like a really big burger with like a nice ratio of other things on there. It'll have lettuce, it'll have onions and tomato, cheese, probably ketchup and mustard, if I didn't already say that. Yes, ketchup in addition to actual tomatoes. That's my thing. It happens, okay? With all that on there, probably, but like Burger King, a lot of times they chop up these massive, like thick, these huge pickles, and they throw it on their Whopper, and it dominates the whole dang sandwich. So, you know, there are some places that they just don't get it. Honestly, I don't really eat at BK anymore because something's off with them. But that's my take. And so, what are your takes on these takes? How do you feel about Harry Potter? How do you feel about marrying young? How do you feel about the Sphere in Las Vegas? Are pickles on your burger? Was there another one? I feel like there was a really, really controversial one that I'm missing. Harry Potter. Oh, the woman thing, you know, maternity leave and women in the workplace. That's really, like, what's your opinion on that one? That's a really good one. So, that's the video for today. I stayed on topic because I had a topic. I had an agenda. So hope you're proud of me because my ADHD didn't go. Even though right now it's kind of all over. But we're ending the video before we get ahead of ourselves, right? So have a good. Oh, you know what? Oh, yeah. Have a good day or evening or whatever time it is wherever you're at and you're watching this. By the way, I saw that I have